More ruins again. Still in Turkey. I'm in Troy now. It's a really interesting place. It was reckoned for a long time that Troy was a legend, and most people first heard of Troy in Homer's Iliad, and I remember learning that in school when we learned Latin, and hating Latin and everything to do with it and Homer. But it's far more complicated than that. There's not one Troy, there's actually 9 different Troys, and it goes way back to the 4th millennium BCE, so quite a long time ago. And there's this history of waves upon waves upon waves of people. Originally it was the Hittite people who built the first city in the Bronze Age in the 4th millennium BCE, so that's quite a long time ago when I was a very young man back in the old days. And and then the history moved on, and the Hittites died out, and the Mycenaeans came, and the Greeks and the Romans and the Byzantines and the Ottoman Empire, and they came and went, and there were earthquakes and there were fires. But they reckon that the Trojan Wars themselves, from the research, they work out that Trojan War came between the 13th and the 15th century BCE, and they can tell this from the devastation. There was a great fire and the town was wrecked. So the history of this town, of this city, is ruins, is ruination. So it's a very good site to see some ruins. It's been destroyed again and again and again and again through waves of history, and what's left is a myth, and we don't really know. There was a German archaeologist, an amateur archaeologist came in the 19th century, and he was very much amateurish, and he was out to make a name for himself, and he ruined it by digging into a lot of the mounds and the old ruins here, and he wrecked it for the people who came after him, who were actual professional archaeologists, and he got lots of gold, and he mistook the gold he found as being the gold mentioned by Homer, but it was from much older Troy, from Troy. They name it Troy 1, Troy 2, Troy 3, Troy 4, and so on up to Troy 9. And I can't remember which of the Troys was the one that where the Trojan Wars took place, but it was a later Troy, and the gold he found was much earlier, and he smuggled it out of the country. At that time, Turkey was under the Ottoman Empire, and he smuggled the gold out, and then it ended up in the museum in Berlin, and the Russians looted that in the World War, after the Second World War, and it ended up in a museum in Russia, where it resides to this day. So we just started out, and there's a replica, a terrible, very badly done replica of the wooden horse at Troy, and that looks like Hollywood, really. It looks very cheap and imitation wood, and of course everybody loves it. This was made famous, of course, as everybody knows. Troy was made famous by that great historian and archaeologist and raconteur and man about town and expert on nearly everything, was the great, illustrious Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt has made Troy famous. Bless him. So since that movie came, I think it was 2004, it's getting more and more popular, Troyes, and it's ending up on the route, on the tourist route. So again, there's lots of tourists here. I'll just give a quick spin around so you can see there's more hordes of them are dancing on us. So I'm going to tootle off now and find a nice peaceful place where there are no tourists. You know, the site itself is quite large because of course it was a town. Okay, more later.